just kind of reset intent of our weekly growth calls are really here to help you accelerate the growth of your business and really the growth of yourself, kind of inside of our accelerated growth model. Monthly, we focus on a key area in our business just to make sure we're building on a solid foundation and not a foundation of sand. And so what I want to kind of reemphasize with you guys, and it's just because I'm kind of what I'm consuming and reading and going through right now, dove back in. I had kind of gotten away for a few weeks of diving down into the psychology of money and kind of into the chapter where they talk about heads and tails, and tails wins, and they give the statistics over. It's ridiculous. The statistics over, I think, since like 1900, they measured a couple things of if you put $1 a month into the stock market versus try to play the game in bouncing in and out of recessions or riding through a recession and going down. But what was fascinating about that, obviously the dollar compounded, I think they said today would be worth about 480,000, where the other would only be worth like less than 250. So it was almost double by just $1 a month. No matter what's going on, it's just $1 a month, staying consistent. And Jim Collins talks about that, right? The 20-mile march, and gives examples of people that try to go further on days and less on other days, yet no matter what the conditions, they go 20 miles. So it's understanding, maintaining that consistency, and in kind of what they were talking about. And man, this was a great, I forget what book this was in, but they talked about an arts teacher that broke his class up into two groups, Group A and Group B. And Group A, their assignment was to build one perfect pot. And they each were given 50 pounds of clay to be able to make whatever that this Group A, they had to make one perfect pot. Whereas the other group, they were tasked to make as many pots as possible. And what at the end of the study, what they found out is that the group could never make a perfect pot. Yet the group that was just constantly making pots ended up having the best pot, right? They had almost the perfect pot. And there's just things to pull from here, because I mean, I've been victim of it as well, right? Is just not doing enough, not trying enough ideas, not enough tweaks, not enough iterations, A/B testing. And I don't want you to think, okay, well, we got to go do a bunch more things. No, we just got to not be afraid to try things. And if they fail, to learn from it and move on quicker. And so you look at where the great ideas come in our business, and what they were talking about in the chapter I was listening to this morning was that it's always the tail that wins. And what they mean by that is, look at, in the two examples he gave was Amazon and Apple. And you look at where Amazon's growth is, right? Prime, AWS. You look at Apple, think about the history of Apple. What drives Apple? iPhone. And it's all because of just constant iteration and improving upon everything and in the model, and not being afraid or getting complacent of how things are. And so it's just kind of a great reminder. But I'm going to keep harping on this as it pertains to confidence, and understanding, that confidence is two things. One, it's a feeling, and two, by definition, it's an act of trust. And for those of you who've been to KT, have gone through this, understand the 4 C's, commitment to confidence, is that, first we have to step back and think about what we talked about in December, right? What are those goals? What are those commitments? And then what did we talk about in January? We talked about, well, what are those leading indicators, the things within my control that if I act on, then the rest will take care of itself. And so being able to make sure that we're there, and understanding the confidence gap is when we feel we have to be confident before we act on it. We've all been guilty of this. And so where the 4 C's closes the gap is that first you have the commitment to whatever it is that you're willing to commit to. But then this is where by definition of confidence number 2 is an act of trust. where that becomes a trust in yourself, because that's the courage to take action. And so where we, kind of get hung up is that we have to feel like we can act. And that just, just doesn't work that way, right? We have to act into how we feel. And when you look at the confidence in having the courage to act, to take action, then we just have to learn capabilities, skills, relationships, something that's just missing to be able to build those small wins that compound over time, that builds confidence. And so I'm excited to keep going through that process and understanding confidence at a higher level. And then definitely, if you guys haven't picked up that book, The Psychology of Money, I mean, it is so powerful. And I'm not even a third of the way through the book. And I mean, there's notes and just changed my thinking every chapter along the way. So definitely highly recommend picking up a copy of that or diving into it. It's a fantastic Audible listen. It's not the author reading it, which I wish he would have, but it really is. It's worth diving into. So like I said, last month, we focused on being clear on what was within our control, right? The KPIs, the key performance indicators. Just think, if I act on this, it'll drive my result. That's the easiest way to think of a KPI. And so we also touched on allocation of time required to achieve the outcome. And I think that's kind of where we look at when we have all of the ingredients and we maybe even have the right sequence. We maybe just don't, or what we're missing is the intensity and for how long. And so, we've all heard, right? Anything worth building takes time. And it's so effing true is that great things are built over time. Great sustainable things are built over time. And so what is the frequency? What is the temperature that we've got to be able to cook at with the right ingredients in the right order? And then it just comes down to patience. And that's kind of was our mantra in our office for the longest of times, was urgently patient. We were like the duck, right? Seems like we're smooth on the surface, but underneath, man, we're paddling our ass off every day. And we're paddling, doing the things that truly matters.